Let's go over the debt ratio. The numerator of the debt ratio is total liabilities, and the denominator is total assets. Here we're not averaging. In return on assets, we used average total assets. Here we're not. Typically, it's expressed as a decimal or a percent. Each author has a different bias. Typically, I don't see it as a percent, but your author does show it as a percent. Either way is all right. So here we have General Mills. This is from 2011. So I went to their balance sheet, which is where I'm going to find liabilities, and I picked up their total liabilities of $12,062.3. And now I need assets for the denominator. So I went to their top side of their balance sheet and picked up their total assets for 2011. And then to compute, I put the total liabilities on top and then total assets on the bottom. There we go. I picked them up. You can express it as 0.64 or 64.9%. Usually 2 decimal places is the tradition. So how can we use this statistic? The debt ratio is a rough measure of debt capacity. It is certainly a measure of financing risk, because the more debt you have, the more risk you have. Creditors are not as flexible as owners. If you have a bad year and can't repay the debt or can't pay the interest, they're not going to give you an extra year to see if you can work it out, whereas owners do. So creditors will take you to court and they'll just take your assets, and they don't really care if your business stays healthy. But that's not true of owners. They're going to be more flexible, and so it's more risky to have your assets financed by debt than it is by owners or by profits. Higher than about 0.8 or 80%, so you have 4 times as much debt as equity at the 80% mark. Most creditors will start to back off and say, we don't want the creditors to have lots of money on the line, lots of skin in the game, and the owners just have a little bit. They want the owners to have plenty of skin in the game as well. Let's go find a competitor and compare General Mills to Kellogg's. If I go to yahoo.com and I go into the finance section and I go look up General Mills and I click on competitors, it'll give me Kellogg's as their competitor. So I went and got Kellogg's balance sheet and I computed here. I took their total liabilities and divided by their total assets, and I get 0.77. Now that's getting pretty close to the 0.8. So from this particular statistic, Kellogg's has quite a bit more financing risk than does General Mills. Can they afford this debt? We would need another ratio. We would look at times interest earned to see, but they're getting, Kellogg's is much closer to their debt capacity limit than General Mills was.